Greetings, educators. Thank you for joining us for the K-5 Science Endorsement Interest Meeting. Today's meeting is presented by Mr. Joe Hart, Mr. Noel Hart, and Ms. Nichelle Williams, Teacher Development Specialists for the Clayton County Public Schools, Department of Professional Learning. The first question you may have is, what exactly is the K-5 Science Endorsement? It is a course endorsement that is equivalent to a graduate level college course. It is 150 hours, and it provides candidates with an opportunity to increase the knowledge in science content as well as pedagogy. The course will be delivered in a blended format. If we are in the buildings, we will meet face-to-face. If not, we will meet virtually, and we will also have online assignments and other forms of instruction. This endorsement consists of 3 modules. The modules are 50 hours each, with 30 of those hours being either virtual meetings or face-to-face meetings, and 20 hours used for your portfolio and other online tasks and activities. For the 3 modules, we will meet on Wednesdays from 3:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The dates for Module 1 are August 12th through October 21st. For Module 2, October 28th through January 20th. And for Module 3, January 27th through March 31st. In Module 1, the primary focus will be to introduce you to core science ideas. We will look at the Georgia Standards of Excellence for Science. We'll look at the 3D framework for science, as well as 5E lesson planning. Our focus for the core ideas will be quantity, scale, and proportion, patterns, and matter and energy. Module 2 will focus on the intersection of the content, those practices that we use, and again, those cross-cutting concepts. The core ideas for Module 2 will be systems and system models, cause and effect. And lastly, Module 3. In this module, we'll look at the application of the content, those practices, and those cross-cutting concepts. The core ideas will center around structure and function, stability and change, and lastly, matter and energy.
Hello everyone, this is Noel Hart, and I'm going to go through what exactly you're going to need for your science portfolio. This is the evidence that you're collecting that says that you are growing in science content and science pedagogy. So the first thing you're going to need is lesson plans. And when we talk about lesson plans, you're going to need 3-unit lesson plans, which are 4 to 5 lessons. And so what that means is for each module, you will have a lesson plan. And that lesson plan will have 4 to 5 lessons within it that will build essentially as a unit. Okay? And when we look at the unit lesson plans, Module 1, we're going to have you focus on differentiation. Module 2, we'll have you focus on technology integration. And Module 3, you'll focus on STEAM. So each one of these will have a different focus, but we'll talk about these in class. You'll also have a field log, and so this is where you're documenting your hours and what you're doing within your hours outside of the actual class. And so when we talk about that, the first one that we have is practicum observations. You'll do 6 hours of that, viewing other teachers teaching science. And then you'll have time for unit lesson planning. That'll be 12 hours of that, because you'll have to do that, as we said before, in the unit lesson plans is one of your part of things. So you do get to take the time that you actually planned for that lesson. You do get to use that time in your field log. You'll do time for reading reflections. That'll be 30 hours for that. And then time for unit assessment reflection, which will be where you look at your students' assessment data and talk about what you feel like you could have done differently, what you did correctly, so we have time for reflection. So, and that brings to the other things for the portfolio. You will have 10 reading reflections to do, and that is per module. So you'll have 30 reading and reflections to do. So you will be spending time actually going through science readings, and a lot of them are very helpful. They help you with lesson planning or help you with understanding a concept. You will have a multi-grade level presentation where you're going to discuss how the standard you're teaching now either works in a lower grade or how in a lower grade it helps build for the higher level grade. So you'll be working with teachers from other grade levels. And then, like we said before, you'll have a unit student assessment reflection, which means that you will be able to discuss your data at the end of the unit that you taught, and what exactly do you see with your student data? What are some misconceptions? What are things that you did well? So we have you go through a process of reflection. And that is it for your portfolio. So remind yourself that this is something that you will have to do each module and turn it in each module. And we keep checking it off. But at the end, it shows all the different things that you've done and the hours that you have during this science endorsement.
The K through 5 science endorsement will model the 3D next generation science instruction practices. Teachers will develop content-related units and lesson plans that incorporates the cross-cutting concepts and science and engineering practices. Many of the concepts that will be taught in the endorsement will follow the 5 E's of science instruction. A phenomena or question will engage thinking about a concept. A time will be given to explore and problem solve. The explanation segment will help to clarify and modify misconception. Extension will solidify thinking or connect to a real-world situation. Evaluations will be used throughout the lesson to check for understanding and misconceptions. NSTA picture-perfect units will be employed to model the 5 E's of science instruction and connect science to literature.
For news about Clayton County Professional Learning Center, please follow us at CCPS ProfLearn on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.